Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a fun little hair tutorial. I'm doing my sister-in-law's hair, and she has always been blonde, and she does hair herself as well. So she ended up doing like a really pretty copper red to herself, and she's just been letting it kind of fade out. She's touched it up a couple of times and it's just kind of faded, and she wants to do more caramel, add some blonde back in. And obviously, since she does hair, she knows she doesn't want to like push the limit and go platinum. So we're going to try to do a really lived in blonde, embracing the warmth since she has red, but trying to cancel out as much as we can. So I thought this would be a really fun tutorial to show you guys how I tackle this in the salon. So if you're interested in watching this, stay tuned. All right, so you guys just saw her before. We did a little consultation, and she's definitely wanting to add more blonde in, but she kind of wants it to still be lived in because she has her natural regrowth coming in, and then she has a darker base color and then the copper. And we kind of feel like her natural base is blending pretty well with the faded brown. So it's blending pretty smoothly, and we kind of want to keep that going so that she can stay low maintenance, because when she's super blonde like before, and I'll actually insert a photo of what her hair used to look like right here, she felt like it was just so dark when it came in contrast to the blonde. So we're hoping that this will give her a little more of a low maintenance look. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to do some highlighting, and we're going to be trying to embrace more of like a natural beige blonde on the warmer side, not super warm because she doesn't want like copper like she has now, but she knows it could be a little warm because of that. So we're gonna go for like a beigey neutral blonde, and then having the dark regrowth around it. So I am using Schwarzkopf Blondie, and I am gonna do that with 7 volume to start, because she does have a thyroid condition, and she also is postpartum. Her baby's 2 now, but you know moms and our hair, like it's the last or the next 1 to 2 years after you have your baby, your hair does weird things. So because of that, and because she was blonde for so many years, she has some breakage in the front, and she doesn't want that to be any worse. So we're not wanting to do anything super crazy or harsh on her hair, which is why I'm just gonna do 7 volume. Also, because that red that she had in her hair, it was just shades EQ, so it's not gonna be anything that's gonna be too hard to lift out, I'm hoping. I've lifted out a lot of reds and a lot of shades, so I'm pretty sure this is gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna do a highlight, and then I'm also gonna do some shadow lights just so that I can extend that root color, give her more of a natural look, and then we're gonna do a root, shadow, and then tone at the bowl. So if you're interested in watching how we apply this and how we tackle this process, stay tuned. Okay, and then for the shadow lights, we're gonna do Redken Shades EQ, and we're gonna mix half and half 7NB and 6NA. And we are gonna do that with the gel processing solution, and we're just gonna be feathering these throughout her hair as shadow lights to kind of extend that base down and give her a little bit of depth. And the 6NA is gonna help counteract warmth, while the 7NB also adds some nicer tones back in there so it doesn't go too muddy. All right, guys, so this is how I parted her off. We're going to be doing a full technique. It's going to be a combination of highlights, lowlights, shadow lights, and then also toning the dropouts to get rid of the red. So I am going to be doing some baby lights going all the way up to the root. When I do this, I want to make sure my sections are very fine and thin, and I'm going all the way up just because if I have a fine baby light going all the way up, it's going to break up that base color a little bit. It's not going to look like a fully packed highlight, but having a few of those baby lights sporadically spread out is going to make it look like they grew out of the head that way, and it's going to soften the line even though we do want this to be a shadowed color. So in the back, I'm just bricklaying up the back of the head, matching the shape of her head, and I'm just doing a combination of this, and then I will do a few highlights that are just kind of feathered into the root, not going all the way up, and this is going to give us variation within those highlights. All right, now that she's processing, we have all of the lowlights, the highlights, everything that we needed to put in the hair is done, but she has the red dropouts. So we're actually gonna be toning her dropouts a teeny bit just to counteract some of that red. We're just gonna cool it down so it doesn't look so red against the blondes because she's lifting really well. So I'm gonna do a combination of things. I'm gonna do a little bit of 8T because that will knock out some of the warmth, but then I don't want it to go muddy. So I'm gonna also add in just a little bit of 7NB, which is what we used in her low light. And we're gonna do GN, which is green neutral. That's gonna help counteract the red in her hair because the GN has that green and that counteracts red. So I'm hoping that with the NB in there, it's not gonna go like too muddy, but we definitely need that green in there. But I don't want this to sit too long because then it will, you know, go a little bit dark and muddy. So we're gonna just do it the very last like 5 to 10 minutes before we rinse her out. But I'm mixing it up now and I'm gonna show you guys how I put this on. Okay, I actually didn't show you guys how I did the money piece because I'm gonna do a dedicated video to how I achieve a peekaboo money piece, which is what I did on her, so stay tuned for that. Now that she is processed, like I said, we are going to be doing that dropout formula. The reason I like to do this on transformations like this one where it is considered a color correction is because if all of those dropouts stayed what they are, this is gonna add a lot more red and copper into her hair, and it's not gonna feel like we did what we were looking to achieve. So I'm wetting the hair down with a water bottle. We're gonna cover it with that formula we just mixed up, and this is going to process about 10 minutes before we rinse her out. All right, we are back at the bowl. We are pulling these foils and she lifted so well. I'm super impressed. That is why when you go red or go dark, you use Shades EQ because it is a way easier lift. So now we have her parted off of her natural part and we are going to be doing a root shadow on her. So I am using Redken Shades EQ again. I love using this for root shadows with the gel processing because it makes that consistency a little thicker so it stays better when you're doing a root. It doesn't drip down as easy. And we are just going through and shadowing all of those highlights so that it blends in naturally with her base. We ended up wanting to stick with what she had on her base naturally. So right here we did a 6N with a little 7NB. This is like my go-to. I did this for her lowlights as well, and I feel like it's just such a good color to match like a natural level 6 to 7, which is what she is. So that's what I'm doing, but I also added in a little 6NA because we did have a little warmth with lifting that red out, so that NA is just going to counteract that a little bit as well. I always like to start in the back and then work my way forward, and then around the front I just kind of follow the shape of the head. I always comb as I go so it's a natural blend. I do have Olaplex on her mids to ends to create a barrier so it doesn't drip down, and that also gives her treatment as we go, so it's kind of like two birds with one stone. And then I'm going to do her money piece very last. I barely just tap that. I have a difference between a tap, a shadow, and a smudge. If you guys would like to see a video on that, let me know. I'm doing a shadow throughout the interior of her head, and then I will do a tap around the hairline to keep her front pieces very bright. Okay, that root shadow has been sitting about 7 minutes, and I'm actually gonna work her toner in with the root shadow so that it all blends together really nicely in a good transition. We are using Redken Shades EQ 8V, 8GI with a little bit of 9P, and then just a dash of 9NB. We're letting this process for about 10 minutes as well, and here is the final result. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. It was so fun to do. Let me know what types of hair videos you would like to see in the future. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.